Adriana, tell Bobby and whoever hasn't muted their line.
Yeah, I will mute them all. Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, got it. Okay, well, uh, I do not talk about any company or product during the training. But I will tell you this, that I started with the same company I've been with now for 25 years by sponsoring 4 distributors. And those 4 distributors now have grown to over 1,400,000. Well, 95% of those came from the original 4. So that's got to tell you something right up front before I even get started here, that you don't have to note the word recruit a lot of people to build a large organization. You need to sponsor and teach people how to duplicate and build a family of consumers. Now, if you are new to network marketing and you don't know what it means to duplicate, simply means that when you sponsor someone, you help them go 3 or more levels deep. If you don't duplicate, you're never going to build a large organization. You're never going to make a lot of money. In fact, I think most of you have already read my book, because the 45-second presentation, now we call it Own Your Life. And napkin presentation 4 talks about what your business should look like. It should look like the biggest building you've ever seen in your life. And that represents huge income. But see, you cannot see the building and you cannot see the income until you do the foundation. So that's why people who are recruiting people to sell, or salespeople, it's virtually impossible to build a large organization. I'll give you an example. A non-sales type, I note the word, will recruit a salesperson thinking they're going to get rich, because that salesperson can bring in a lot of people, which they can. In 6 months to a year, note the word, they can recruit 50 to 100 people. But at the end of the year, you look at their genealogy and they haven't duplicated themselves one time. They might be one level deep in a few places, but 0 duplication. Now, what happens when you don't have any duplication? You will get to the point where your people are dropping off faster than you can add them. So now the person thinks there's something wrong with the company, the product, the marketing, their sponsor, but someone shows them another hot program and they're off to the races on the new program. Okay. Guess what happens after a year goes by? Same thing. They didn't duplicate there either. And now they're off to the next program. You're going to run into people who've been in 2, 3, 4, 5 programs. And when you do, all you got to do is say to them that, you didn't fail in network marketing because you got in network marketing, but you never did network marketing. Now, a salesperson, like I said, it's almost, they can't build a business if they're not duplicating. So they can be huge in network marketing under 2 conditions. They got to forget about sales, period. And they've got to learn network marketing because they're different. I'll give you a quick little testimony from a guy by the name of Jimmy the Butcher Smith. Guy cut meat for 42 years, had to retire because of a back injury. He got into network marketing, said he loved network marketing, but he didn't do network marketing. He did sales. He was in a new program every year for 10 years. Never made a lot of money. Okay. Come across my training material and he learned it's really quite simple, that we don't recruit people to sell, but we sponsor and teach people to duplicate. Well, he was 52 at that time. And when he was 70 years old, he was already worth 35 million. And when he got to be 92, he was worth 90 million. Now we have the recording of an interview he did with Eric Worre, where twice in the interview, he mentions my name and that I'm 100% responsible for his success. Another quick testimony, a guy by the name of Jordan Adler, he's top distributor in his company now, but for 11 years, he could not sponsor anybody. Well, the problem was he was trying to recruit people to sell. And you're going to understand that as I go here, that, that does not work. So anyway, he actually found my book in a garage sale. He bought it for 25 cents, and now he's a multimillionaire. Now, you have to understand that 100% of the people in the world who are not in network marketing do not understand it. 80 to 90% of the people who are in it don't understand it. And you'd be amazed how many company owners don't understand it. And that's why my book's now sold over 11 million copies. It's in all the major languages because when people read it, they understand it. I want to give you one more testimony. It's a personal one. For those that came in a few minutes late, you did not hear that I started by sponsoring 4 distributors, and that has grown to 1,400,000. What I didn't tell you is that, of course, I am with a health company like most of you are. But in 25 years by accident, I've actually sold 1 product. Some people were visiting my home. The product was on the counter in the kitchen. They saw it, asked what it was. I told them they wanted to buy it. It's the only thing I've ever sold. But last month, my volume with my organization was over 13 million. I will do over $150 million volume this year, which is more than 90% of the companies will do out there. And I did it by never, ever recruiting anybody to sell anything, simply by sponsoring and teaching people to duplicate. Now, what I want to do is talk about your market now. Because if you think you're selling your hot health products, how many people are out there that are really interested in hearing about what you got to say? Well, first of all, in the world, there are only 15% of the people at any given point in time are either sick, hurt, or into health. And that breaks down to 8% that are really, really into health. Now, anybody argue that, say, well, measure the square footage of your health food stores in town, your supermarkets in town, you're not going to have 8%. So you got a small market. Okay, now you've got a lot of competition because, see, 80, 90% of people in network marketing think they're out looking to sell to that 8%. Okay, they don't understand. And all these new companies starting up out there, they spend millions of dollars developing a new line of products. And when they get ready to go to market, they all make the same mistake, which will be the cause of their failure, because 90% of the new companies don't make it 2 years and they're gone. And it's because they don't teach their people to duplicate. So what happens, they get ready to go to market and they recruit a salesperson, a sales manager. Now, it's kind of strange when you think about it, because we're not in sales, we're in network marketing, they're different. So why did they recruit a sales manager? The person they recruited has never sponsored a person a day in their life, never built a business in network marketing. So why did they recruit a sales manager? 2 reasons. Already told you one, they don't understand network marketing. And they recruit that sales manager to recruit people to sell, and that'll be the cause of the fail. Can't make it. Most all the companies in the world right now are actually going down because they have gotten so big now that people are leaving faster than they can add them because they're not teaching their people to duplicate. Totally amazing. And then when people leave, they don't just leave by themselves, they take their whole group with them. And you see that happening all the time. And I'll repeat it again. When you run into people that have been in several companies, just say you didn't fail in network marketing because you never did network marketing. Now, you got a small market. We have a lot of competition. Now, here comes your worst problem. 95% of the people want nothing to do with sales, period. In America, a few months ago, it was on the news, they were talking about it. And they said only 4.7% of the people in America want anything to do with sales. So that makes it really, really tough. Small market, a lot of competition. Nobody wants anything to do with sales. Okay, what I'm going to teach here shortly, you're going to be able to do in 3 to 5 years what took me 25 years. And let me tell you, it has nothing to do with selling, okay? There are only 2 elements to building. Well, let me do one more thing first. Activity. I want you to think about how many people you have in your organization. Then think about how many of those people are actively building a business. Some time ago, we had a Zoom training, and the woman on the training afterwards with the testimony, I asked her how many people she had in her group, and she said 500. And I said, well, that's great. How many of those people are actively building a business? Got real quiet for about 10, 15 seconds. She said 10. Folks, the average in the industry is about 5%. Okay. And the reason for that is because they're recruiting people to sell, they don't stick around, and there's no duplication. We got a simple analogy, makes it real easy to understand and remember. If you owned a brand new Lamborghini or Ferrari, now those are hot vehicles. Like, see, everybody thinks their vehicle, their company, product, market plan is a hot vehicle. But if you owned a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, would you let your best friend go for a drive around the block in it if they didn't know how to drive? Well, Nancy and I, we did training seminars in over 35 countries around the world, probably asked over hundreds of thousands of people that question. 100% say, no way would I do that. But now listen to the way people are doing the business and network marketing. Note the word recruit. They will recruit someone to sell, and they will take days, weeks, and months. All they're doing is talking about their company, product, and marketing, trying to teach someone that doesn't want to sell how to sell. They don't spend 1 minute teaching them how to duplicate. Okay, so now with our new app, our system and technology, I'm going to teach you here how you're going to be able to do that. And again, your market's going to be huge. Your market's going to be 100%. Because see, 95% of the people in the world want something they don't have. The 5% of the people on the top already have everything. They'd like to live forever. So we say they make paid customers. So you've got a huge market because everybody, would love to own, we call it owning their life, have time, money, and health. When I did those training seminars, I always started by asking the people, when you sponsor a new person, how much teaching and training time does it take you before your new person can sponsor someone? Okay, can you teach them enough in 1 or 2 hours? No. How about 2 or 3 days? No. Then I say, how many of you have people been with you 2, 3, and 4 months and they still haven't sponsored anybody? Over half the people in the room would raise their hand. I said, well, would you like to know why they haven't sponsored anybody? I mean, the answer is really quite simple because, see, nobody taught them something that they could do. That's so simple that anybody could do. See, it's one thing if you can do something, but you have to have something so simple that anybody can do it. And of course, that's what I'm going to do for you here in just a few minutes. So bottom line is that I'm going to give you another analogy. Once you learn what I'm going to teach you in a few minutes, it's like I can hand you the keys to the vehicle, company, product, market. When you get in it today, start going down the freeway, sponsoring and teaching and building your business. Now note this, while you're building your business, you can learn all about it, the company, product, and marketing plan. Okay? People who are recruiting people to sell, they have to lift up the hood or the bonnet or whatever you call it, take the whole engine apart, put it back together again before they can even talk to somebody. So, and again, the more products your company has, the worse it is for you because, see, they think they have to learn about all those products before they can talk to anybody. You don't have to do that. You're going to understand that by the time I'm finished. So anyway, let me show you how simple this is. Oh, incidentally, no, that's fine. We wear a hat, and the hat says, own your life. We have a pin on our collar that says, own your life. And that stands for having time, money, and your health. Do you realize most people don't even know one person that has all three? So let's say that you're in a conversation with a friend or someone you meet, okay? Now, the person you meet, don't do what I'm going to teach you here until you've made a connection with the person. Find out what they want. Let them find out a little bit about you and so forth. Make a connection, because if you don't make the connection, don't even go there. It's not worth it. It's not going to work, okay? Now, that's all I'm going to tell you about talking to strangers. Because, see, once you see how we do what we're doing, you'll never have to talk to a stranger. Because, see, everybody you know can build a business once they understand they don't have to sell, okay? That's how simple it is. So, bottom line, we're in a conversation with a friend. During the conversation, we simply say, have you ever thought about what it would be like if you could own your life? have time, money, and health. We say, most people, young people, millennials, if they're making 60 to 100,000 a year, they have a little bit of money, but see, they don't have any time because of their job, their commute, things they have to do. Their health's okay. Older people, they have a lot of time, but they're running out of money and their health's going bad. So see, it's a simple question. How would you like to be able to own your life at a time in your life when you could enjoy it with your friends and your family? What can they possibly say? Okay, only basically two possibilities. They can say, Don, gee, I just want to keep my stupid, dead-end, boring job and work the rest of my life and end up broke. Most people are going to say something like this. Gosh, that sounds interesting. Can you tell me more? Okay? Can you tell me more? Now, I want you to know that what I just did with you is step one of a three-step system. Takes 1 minute, folks. 1 minute. If you can learn a 1-minute presentation, it's all you need to know to learn to build a business, because now the tools are going to take over and do all the talking for you. That's why anybody can do this business. Adriana records all these trainings that we do. And when we come out with our new upgraded app, we're going to have a couple of the trainings translated and so forth in the different languages on the app. So, if a person can't listen to what I just said, have you ever thought about owning your life? That's all you got to learn. Okay. They can't remember that. Have them write it down on a 3x5 card and hand it to the person. They could read it. Okay, so they say they're interested. Tell me more. Okay, so now we go to step 2. And all we have to do there is let them know that if you want to own your life, you need to understand network marketing, because 100% of the people in the world not in it don't understand it. 80–90% of the people in it don't understand it. And you've amazed how many company owners don't understand it. So for you to be able to understand it, I am going to send you the first 5 chapters of the best-selling book in the world on network marketing so you can understand it. And when you understand it, then we coined the phrase, now you know how to drive. Remember, you can't go anywhere unless you know how to drive. How do you want me to send it to you? Do you want me to send it to you by print or audio or both? Okay, now why is audio so important? People are getting to the point where they say they don't have time to read. Well, see, we've taken care of that objection completely. In fact, whether you realize it or not, in the history of our industry, time is the biggest objection people use to get you off their back. See, this doesn't take any time because they can take their mobile device with them in their vehicle, and they can listen to the 5 chapters while they're on their commute, with the commute that they hate, going to the job they hate, going to work for 35, 40 years, which they hate. They can change their life by listening to it on the commute. So they have time. You can listen to it while you're fixing dinner, while you're jogging, walking your dog, exercise, all kinds of ways that you can change your life by listening to the first 5 chapters while you're doing something else, okay? Now, when the person that has the book gets through reading the book, then you're going to go ready to go on to the next step. But anyway, just something to think about. Before we had the app, the system, and the technology, people would buy my book, and they wouldn't buy just one at a time. They'd buy 5, 10, 25, and so forth. And I just want to go over with you how much that costs to just send out one book. You first of all paid for the book. Now, unless the post office was next door to your house, you had to go to the post office. For those of you who don't watch the news and you don't get American news, but we have places in California now where gas is already hitting $10 a gallon. Okay, crazy, unbelievable. So whatever it costs you to go to the post office and back for petrol, that adds to the cost of the book. Now, your time has value. How much time did it take you to go to the post office and back? You stand in line at the post office, you buy the postage. That is added to the cost of the book. And then you wait 5 days for them to receive it. You call them in 5 days and say, have you received the book? They say they did. Have you read the book? They say they did. You will be amazed how many people lie to you. They didn't read the book. And that's called cooling off. From the time you talk to them to the time they received it, they have already lost interest. See, now there's no more cooling off. It's impossible. Because see, with your mobile device, you can send them the 5 chapters while you're talking to them. No waiting 5 days. As soon as you hang up the phone, they have it and they can start listening to it or reading it, okay? Now, if you like that idea, you're gonna love this. When they start to read it, you get a ping on your mobile device letting you know they started to read it. Now, if they don't finish the 5 chapters, you're gonna get another ping that says they partially read it. And when they finish reading it, you get another ping saying they finished reading it. So how cool is that to be able to call this person maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes after they finished listening or reading to it. And you don't have to ask them if they read it because you know they did. And you already know they're interested because they wouldn't have finished the 5 chapters. So that's exciting. Now, I want you to be aware and know that it was their time to read the book, not your time. So it only took you about 2 to 4 minutes to introduce the concept to them. They needed to understand network marketing. So add that to the 1 minute to ask the initial question, and you have very, very little time. So now, once they've finished listening to the 5 chapters or reading it, they're ready for step number 3, and that's the app. And with the app, you're going to be able to send out unlimited first 5 chapters of the book to anywhere in the world. And you're going to see on the app, my partner, Jeff Grimaldi, links his phone to the computer, demonstrates how you actually do it. There's about 6, 7 different ways you can do it with technology. So he will demonstrate that. And once you actually do it yourself, it's like a learning curve. Once you have done it 2, 3 times, you are going to be able to send the first 5 chapters out to the book to anywhere in the world. And the cost of doing it is all included in the cost of the app, which is only $20. And that's pretty much it. You'll be able to take, now what I want you to do is compare that 20 seconds it takes you to do it once you learn how to do it. Compare that to the time it took you to go to the post office and back just to send out 1 book, okay? So anyway, once person has gone through all the things they're getting on the app, because you're getting a lot of things, and I'll tell you about that in just a few minutes, besides being able to send the 5 chapters of the book. Now they're ready to go and learn about your vehicle, your company, product, and marketing plan. Now, just to know that your total talking time at this point with those maybe a couple little phone sessions with the person is somewhere between 4 and 10 minutes. Okay, and they're ready to start building a business. They can start building a business that day, okay? And compare that to the days, weeks, and months you've been trying to teach people how to sell, which doesn't work. So anyway, when you're in talking to your person, if at any time they interrupt you and ask you, what are you selling or what's your company? If you tell them, you lose. Because as soon as you hang up the phone, they're going to go to Google and they're going to see all your products. And let me tell you, the more products you have, the more they're thinking, oh my God, you know, I'm going to learn about all these products. You know, he's trying to sell them to me or get me to sell them for him, so forth. They're done. You're finished. If someone asks me that question, I simply say, if I were selling anything, it would be an opportunity for you to own your life. Okay, just for the fun of it, I was looking at my watch. I just taught you everything. I mean, everything you need to know to build a business. If you didn't get it 100%, then come back and listen to it again or get the recording. Listen to it a few times. Everything you need to know. Folks, it took 20 minutes. Think about how much time you've been spending with a new person trying to get them going in the business. No wonder they say they don't have time. So we never ever get anybody with this approach. saying they don't have time. So what I want to do now is tell you what you get when you get the app, besides being able to send out unlimited. When I say unlimited, that means you could send out 50, 100 first 5 chapters a month if you wanted to. Okay, what you're going to get is a section on the app called questions and answers. Right now there's 25. We're going to be adding more. If you ever had a question that's not on the app, submit it to us. We'll get it on the app. Okay, now, let's say that you sponsor someone. They sponsor someone who asks your person a question. Let's say you're gone for the day or whatever, they can't reach you. And how much time does it take them to track you down to get the answer to their question? Now, all they have to do is pick up their mobile device and look at the Q&As, find it. And, you can send that to your person just like you can send the 5 chapters of the book, and it has tracking. So you know when the person reads it and when they finish reading it. So that's cool. And we're excited about that. And like I said, we're going to be continuing adding more to that. We have a section called Nancy's Wisdom. Now, 6 months before Nancy passed away, she did a Zoom training that the women absolutely love, and the men, it's good for the men too. See, 70% of the people in network marketing in the world are women, okay? So this is a good thing to have. And there's more content that'll be added to that. We have some interviews by 3 of the top podcasters in America, Simon Chen, Peter Mangels, and Tom Chenault. And when they did the interviews, Tom Chenault, his went out to 500 radio stations, and Simon Chen, his went out on YouTube. We have podcasters now wanting more interviews, but I'm not doing any more until we get the new updated app finished, which is, I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. Also with the app, you're going to get my book, which is it's already upgraded now. You just got to get it printed and someone to read it and so forth. But, the book has not been upgraded in 36 years. So there's a lot of things in the book. I mean, people love the book, but still there are things in there that are antiquated. I'll give you one good idea of one thing that is. And this is one of the reasons why you're going to be able to do in 3 to 5 years, but took me 25. See, before we have the app system and technology and Zoom and so forth, people, I'll give you the history of the industry. The industry started off by having hotel meetings. A weekly hotel meeting. You invite people to the meeting and hope they would show up, okay? Then it evolved to doing sizzle sessions in restaurants. Well, see, in America, in California, where I live, we had over a year where all the restaurants were closed. But it didn't affect our business at all because we had evolved to the new way of doing the business, and that's doing sizzle sessions on Zoom. Like this is a sizzle session. So back when we didn't have this technology, 3 to 12 people would meet in a restaurant, coming from 3 to 12 directions, taking 15 minutes to an hour to get there. You spend an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the sizzle session. Some people would get home like at 10, 11 o'clock at night. The spouse was home taking care of the children. And let me tell you, if you did that more than once a week, you were in trouble with your spouse. Well, see, now with Zoom, we don't have to go to the restaurant. It doesn't take any time. I'm doing 1 to 5 sizzle sessions a day on Zoom, okay? Can you imagine, just think about this. If all your people in your downline only did 1 Zoom training a day with 1 or 5 or 10, or, we're doing up to 100 people on these calls, okay? Just 1 a day. Can you imagine how much faster you would grow than if you're only going with 1 a week, okay? So anyway, that's going to be a major improvement. So you'll get the new updated book, in the app in both print and audio. We've had another company, original company, that has made the app. And over the last year, we've had Zoom trainings where we've had a Dr. Steve Hines as a guest trainer. And let me tell you, that guy is really, really good. And he's now part of the new updated app. He's a retired eye surgeon. He had he was a multimillionaire, sold his practice, been in networking 30 years. He has the fastest growing organization with his company using our material. And when you listen to this guy speak for just a few minutes, you're going to want to get involved. So if you have like a doctor, dentist, lawyer, professional person, and they listen to this guy, and if they don't join, there's something wrong with them, okay? It's going to be absolutely, we're excited about it. What we don't have on the original app are testimonies. And these will be running like, approximately 2 minutes, 3 minutes, done on Zoom, and the person cannot mention the name of their company or product. And we just caution people that, if they would like to volunteer with the testimony, that's fine, but they're going to be seen and known all over the world because that's where the app's going. We had a gal, just to give you an idea, a couple weeks ago, gave a testimony that after hearing my training one time, that very next week, she sponsored 2 people and each one of them sponsored 1. So people that have been spending, literally years trying to build a business and not going anywhere, because see, the difference between recruiting and selling is really, selling and duplication is quite simple. When you are recruiting people to sell, you are like a sales manager, and those people are working for you. Okay, when you are teaching people to duplicate and build a family of consumers, you are working for them, okay? And as it goes deeper, the deeper it goes, the stronger it gets because everybody progressively has more than one person working for them. So just to bring you up to speed where we are with the app, the original company only had 6 employees. They could not keep up with us. It would have taken us years to get the app into different languages. So we have a new company. They're out of Canada. They have 370 employees, and they're in 20 countries. They have a whole team of people working on our app. Now, to build an app, it takes 5 steps, and you pay for each step as you go. We've already paid for the first 4, and we should be finished with the 4th step here, hopefully within the next week. That'll be finished. Then we'll pay for the 5th step. That'll take 2 to 3 weeks. And then we'll have the new upgraded app in English, and that becomes the base. And once we have the base, they said they can add a new language every 3 weeks to the base. So we're going to start with Polish first, and then Germany, then Italian, Romanian. We already have the app, because of the original company, pretty much completed in Vietnamese. Won't take much to get that up, and also in Spanish. We already have people working on Chinese, Japanese, and Russian, exactly. But the plan is to eventually have the app in all the major languages. I have the only app in the world that teaches people how to drive the vehicle, okay? I mean, a lot of companies now are coming out with apps, but their apps are about their company, their product, and their marketing plan, their vehicle. Nobody's teaching anybody how to drive the vehicle. And we don't expect any competition with this because nobody else has had a book that sold over 11 million copies and did seminars in 35 countries around the world. So anyway, let me explain to you how you're going to be able to do in 3 to 5 years what took me 25. Now, it all has to do with the word time. And I already told you, the biggest one is the time you save by not having sizzle sessions out of your home. That saves you a lot of time. Well, like I said, the book was written 36 years ago, so it stopped at 5. Once you had 5 people, if you're duplicating and working with those people and helping with their people going down and so forth, you didn't have time to work with another person, okay? But see, now you do. So you can take out a piece of paper, and I'll say this kind of slow. You might want to write this down if you don't already have it. When you have 5 people that you've sponsored and you help them, then you have 25 on your second level. And when you help your people help their people, then you have 125 on the third level. So it goes 5, 25, 125, 625, 3,125, 15,125, six, so forth. You go down 6, 7 levels, doing the multiple of 5. It's better for you to do it yourself on the paper, then it'll really sink in. Now, once you have your 5, add one more. Start duplicating with that person. And then once they get started duplicating, you add another one. You do that until you have 10 people that you have personally sponsored that are active. Now, put the 10 next to the 5. Notice that is a difference of 5. When 10 gets 10, that's 100. Okay? Next to 25, difference of 75. Then it goes to 1,000 next to 25. Now the difference is 875. Take that out 6 levels, it's going to blow you away. All you've got to do is do that, and you're going to do in 3 to 5 years what took me 25 years to do. So anyway, we're doing pretty good on time here. We normally stop after my presentation because when it's being translated, you have to double the time. And we don't like to go much over 40 minutes on the recording because when you send a recording out, it's over that length of time. A lot of people can't open it. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw some more things in here because we can get it all on the first recording. What we do is we start off after, before we start the new recording by having pictures taken. Now, about the 3rd or 4th time I did a Zoom training here, someone said, can we take your picture? And I said, fine. Then they said, can we post it on Facebook? And I said, yeah, that's fine, but just don't mention a company or a product because we keep this neutral. Okay, then this thing started to explode and people were posting it. It's growing. We've had anywhere from, like we have 16 people today, all the way up to 100. And, once we get the app finished in the new languages, this will go to 500 or 1,000 or more, at these trainings. In fact, there's no limit to how many we can have on Zoom. I did a training on Zoom here last year with 2 translators in Moscow, and we had 2,000 Russians on the call, and I had a few other ones with people, like in Vietnam, Japan, Central America, with simultaneous translators, 1,500 people. So there's no limit. The Q&As that we do on the calls will start getting limited because right now we have time for everybody to ask a question, but once we get that big, it'll start getting limited. And right now we're doing Wednesday and Friday translated in Polish and Thursday in English. And once we get the app done in those different languages, we'll just go to one of these trainings a week on like Monday on, for example, on English, Tuesday on Polish, Wednesday on Germany. We'll do one different language each day. So we'll get that going. So we're having a lot of fun. And so when you take the picture and you do a post, and let me tell you, if you have a problem how to write a post, then get in touch with Adriana. She is an absolute expert, I'm telling you. She came up with the idea after we had done it for a while that she did a post that if you would like to have a training with Don Failla, contact me and I'll help set it up for you. Okay, this is before we started doing this group sessions and so forth. Well, it turned out a lot of people were, for whatever reason, afraid to call me, so they'd call her, and that's how it started to expand. But now, let me show you how by doing this, how it's going to make you a fortune. Because see, a lot of people have 1,000 to 4,000 people on their Facebook. And if you've been in network marketing for 5, 10, 15 years, you go back, you get a lot of people who are not in it. They're not in it because they never duplicated, okay? So what you do is how you approach these people is you give them a call. Say you haven't talked to them 3, 5 years. You call up and say, gee, I want to get in touch. We haven't talked to you for a long time. I wanted to call you up to apologize. So then you're quiet. You'd be quiet for a little bit. And they're wondering, why are you apologizing? Well, remember when I got you into that network marketing program many years ago? See, I didn't know what I was doing, okay? And now I do, because I had an opportunity to go to training and find out that, we're not in sales, we're network marketing, the proper way to do the business. And we do a Zoom training where we can teach people, you don't have to really do much yourself because we got the tools, do all the talking for you. But see, if I had and known back then what I know now, you'd be retired by now, okay? So I just call up to apologize, but if you'd like to see what we're doing now, I'd be more than happy to send you a link for the Zoom training. Man, you'd be amazed how many of those people are coming on these Zoom trainings to get updated and coming back into the business. When I first started, a lot of people want to know how this got started. You guys all would not be here today on this Zoom training if my wife had not died, okay? I live in a big house. At night I get bored and lonely and so forth. I'd never been on Facebook, ever. But I was maxed out at 5,000 friends because we have people that bought my book and my seminars want to be my friend. I just accepted everybody. Never did anything on Facebook. Well, about 3 to 4 months after she passed away, one evening, I was looking around the computer and came across Facebook, and I noticed when I put my cursor on somebody, I'd get more people, then more people, and so forth. But what happened is I came across this woman that was so beautiful. I couldn't tell, I could tell she was Asian, but I didn't know if she was Chinese, Japanese, or Vietnamese. So anyway, then I noticed when I put my cursor on her face, she went big screen on me. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool. Then I noticed a little white arrow to the right. And I started clicking on the little white arrow and I got more pictures. I probably looked at 30 pictures of this woman. And I noticed down below it said message. Never in my life did I ever send anybody a message. First message. All I said was, I love your photo. Within 5 minutes, I got a message back from her saying, I love your book. Okay. So anyway, it turned out she was Vietnamese, grew up there 10 years, Europe 10 years, now manages a salon in Seattle 10 years. About 1.5 million Vietnamese live in Seattle, and most women work in salons doing nails, pedicures, and so forth. Well, she had been in network marketing for 2 years. She ended up hating it, like most people, okay? What happened is her sponsor quit, his sponsor quit. By the time they got to someone doing training meetings, all it was about was recruit, 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 sell, sell, sell. She hated it. So I told her what we were doing, with the app and so forth. And we had a nice little chat. Within 3 days, she bought the app, she got the app. And now I didn't tell you this, with the original app, we could only send out 4 chapters. Now with the new upgrade, we're sending out 5 because that picks up a napkin presentation for about foundation. So within 3 days, she signed up in my company and working, and she's totally excited about network marketing now. 3 days later, I had the same thing happen with a woman from Germany. I get chatting with her, and it already turned out she was already in my downline. Okay, so it made me start thinking about Facebook, and that all these people in Facebook. See, I noticed that I had 1,842 people wanting to be my friend, but I couldn't accept them because I was maxed out with 5,000. So someone said, well, unfriend people, and then you can start accepting these people. So that's I started unfriending people. And most of these people I never talked to any of them. But anyway, I just started unfriending people. And then these people that wanted to be my friends started pouring in. And, when someone wants you to accept them, you get a ping on your mobile device. Well, because of the time chain, I live in San Diego and everybody else is in Europe. So anyway, I'd be unfriending in the afternoon when you guys are all sleeping. And then when I go to bed at midnight, I start getting pings on my phone between midnight and 2 in the morning, people wanting me to accept them. And I'm a do it now type person. So I talk to them, and I would be setting up these Zoom training classes, meetings for my next morning, their next evening. So that just gives you a quick summary of how this happened.